In a tattoo parlor on trendy South Beach,
You did the 666 really big? Yeah.
sat the daughter of the man who claims to be God.
He's back. He's here to teach us that we should reign in life, that there is no sin, and today we're honoring him with the symbol.
Joanne de Jesus is one of several dozen members of a religious sect called Creciendo en Gracia, or Growing in Grace. They were tattooed on their arms, ankles, even their necks with 666, the biblical sign of the Antichrist. Why? Because their spiritual leader says he is the Antichrist, not the embodiment of evil, but rather the second coming.
666, Antichrist means do not put your eyes on Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Put it in Jesus after the cross.
And that's you.
That's me. I do greater things than Jesus of Nazareth. Much greater.
Says.
Before, people believed that we were created by a supernatural God or the fruit of evolution through Darwin, etc.
And what was their version?
And this explanation, which is a good one, is that we were created by an advanced civilization coming from another planet using DNA and genetic engineering. And that the Bible is a godless, atheist book explaining the creation and life of life on earth by these very advanced people named in the Bible the Elohim.
Okay. They told you that you were related to Jesus, didn't they?
Yes, they had 40 messengers throughout the history of humanity, and these messengers, like Jesus, like Moses, were partly half human, half Elohim.
Okay, and you are therefore Jesus'
Brother.
Half-brother.
Yes.
I don't know whether your mother and father are alive, but what did they think of this when you broke the news to them that they hadn't conceived you in a normal way?
My mother was not surprised at all.
Your father was what I was more interested in, to be quite honest.
I had no father. I was raised only by my mother.
It's kind of a good explanation. Yes. Your father was an alien. Thank you very much.
An extraterrestrial.
Let me get the story right. The press claim that you claim to be the Son of God. Is that true?
Yes, you see, the thing is that it's quite funny, really. You know, 2,000 years ago, had a guy called Jesus sat here and said these same things, you would still be laughing. It's really funny that we've not really moved on that much. The negativity, the thoughts that I'm talking about that are very destructive, are pouring out of this planet
Let me
every
interrupt
day.
you. Was it a great shock for you to discover this at 38?
Well, I think the word is gobsmacked. But again, you know, the best way of removing negativity is to laugh and be joyous. So I'm delighted that there's so much laughter in the audience tonight.
But no,
but just let me say this.
They're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you.
Fine.
So we'll shift now to the very important things happening in Iran. It's kind of a big deal that they're starting another war, especially with such an important country like Iran. Central on the grand chessboard, as Zbigniew Brzezinski called it. I know Alex covered this last night, but it's good to point out again that the former Israeli defense official told the New York Times there's a covert war on Iran. It's a prudent strategy, and indeed there is a covert war. There's been all kinds of blowing up of facilities, targeting officials and scientists and all the rest of it. So many things going on, trying to foment a phony velvet-style green movement revolution there, and anything else they could do to surround the country and undermine it. You notice the whole Arab Spring thing is really part of the build-up to World War III. You can't get to Iran until you bring down Syria and Libya and kind of rebrand Egypt and Tunisia and some of those other smaller countries, and just to keep things chaotic and not too settled in when they move in for the big kill. Kind of a big deal. So they've killed here the nuclear scientist Mustafa Ahmadi Roshan, even as really the truth is the U.S. funded Iran's nuclear program. And even if they did have a bomb, which they don't, it's no reason to scurry off to war. You know, I know the viewers out there from this program understand what's going on. It's just frustrating that they continue to brand this false reality, and we're all supposed to go along with it. Meanwhile, RIA Novosti, the Russian outfit, reports that the U.S. is building hospitals in Georgia readied for war with Iran. There are 20-bed hospitals. It's an American project. A big war between the U.S. and Iran is beginning in the Persian Gulf. $5 billion was allocated for the construction of these 20-bed military hospitals. Javeldi said in an interview with the Georgian paper they're starting supposedly American military towns from scratch in Georgia. Saakashvili is leading the project, all so they can attack Iran and kind of bolster towards Russia and China as well. Hopefully not towards World War III, but we all know that's on the table here.
After the holidays, after they get the people to spend the money that they don't have on Christmas junk, they're going to pull the plug in the first quarter of 2012. When that happens, they are going to institute some form of martial law, economic martial law. And what that means is that you're going to see bank holidays, possibly dollar devaluations, some kind of draconian measures. As that takes place, remember now, all of these movements are heating up already. The Occupy movements, people are getting angry.
And it's worse than that. The Russians are saying get ready for war. The Pakistanis have thrown the U.S. out. There's nuclear warships cruising around threatening. All bedlam is breaking loose. The Iranians are threatening to block the Strait of Hormuz. Just like you said in your trends for 2011 a year ago, the next great war, they always start a war.
They always start a war after the financial collapse and after they milk the system and grab every dollar out of it and squeeze it out of the people. When there's nothing left to squeeze, they take you to war. They get you killed. And the Iranian one, that's the flashpoint. Look at what's going on. Add it up. Syria. It's collapsing. They have a huge amount of problems over there. The United States is supporting the anti-government movement, as is other European countries. And now Turkey's moving into that. Who is Syria's greatest ally? Iran. Look at the sanctions they're pushing on in Iran. This is a replay of World War II with Japan. Remember when they cut off Japan from getting oil supplies? The same thing is happening now in another scenario.
Well, the attacks against Christians in Orissa began on August 24th and have continued ever since. We are getting daily reports of churches being burned to the ground, Christian homes being destroyed, as well as daily reports of attacks against Christian believers. But why is this happening? Why is this taking place today here in India? Well, I had a chance to visit the epicenter in Kandhamal to get a closer look at the persecution of Christians. Here's my report.
They asked him, "Will you deny Christ and become a Hindu?" He said no. Then I saw the Hindu mob pour gasoline on my brother-in-law, and they burnt him alive.
They surrounded the church, and within minutes the whole building was on fire.
I could hear them coming towards my house and chanting, "Come out, Christians, you don't belong here. If your God is real, come out and face us."
They broke into the house and started beating me. Then they dragged me out front and pulled out a sword. Another person had an axe in his hand.
All I could do was grab my 3 children and run. We ran for our lives into the jungle. We spent nights hiding without food or water.
In this remote eastern region of India, Hindu radicals are accused of a deliberate and systematic campaign to eradicate Christians from the land.
Actually, we're going to start in Nigeria. They came at night. We're talking about masked men armed with machetes and guns, and they killed hundreds of villagers in central Nigeria. Chilling story, this. The victims, well, they were Christian farmers. Who did it? Well, witnesses say it was members of the Muslim Fulani ethnic group who went on the rampage south of the city of Jos. Now, this region has long been a flashpoint for violence, and this massacre comes at a time of great political uncertainty in Nigeria. Emotions obviously were raw as the villagers buried their loved ones, and Christian Purefoy got there to the scene the day after it all happened. Have a look.
The hysteria of grief. Mary Chuan says that many of her family members were killed when the attackers came in the dark of early Sunday morning. She cried for help, but no one came. The Christian community of Dogo Nahawa in central Nigeria is burying its dead after what everyone here says was an attack by Muslim herdsmen on this Christian community. An estimated 150 people, many women and children, were killed in last Sunday's raid.